Ceann Comhairle. Taoiseach, you're welcome back from COP27, and yesterday I said I did welcome the fact that you were attending COP27 and that the government was represented by the Taoiseach there, and I did call for more urgent action here at home to tackle the climate catastrophe, and I look forward to our debate. I think it's been promised we will have a debate on COP27 in the next week or so, and I look forward to hearing more about that then. But could I, Taoiseach, turn to the plight of the 3,000 people in Ireland, many of whom live in my own constituency and who work in my own constituency, who are employed by Facebook or its parent company Meta, and who currently don't know whether they will be in a job in a few weeks' time. And we've heard this morning from Facebook that they're proposed to make 13% of their global workforce redundant, and that could mean as many as 390 people here, and that's an absolutely devastating prospect for so many people, and not just those employed by Facebook, of course, because the news follows a spate of layoffs with announcements from Twitter, from Stripe. We know that from news today that Zendesk is considering downsizing, that Intel is considering job cuts, and we know there are many thousands of people employed by tech companies and related companies in Ireland. Not all will be directly affected, but many today are in fear as they face this appalling prospect of losing their job. In a grim irony, many are discovering their fate in real time through a drip feed of coverage on the same social media sites that are now threatening to take away their livelihoods. The news, we know, was broken to many Twitter employees about job losses when they were suddenly locked out of their email accounts in their workplaces. That's no way to treat individuals, to treat humans. It's no way to show any sort of dignity and respect to those who are highly skilled, highly qualified, and working in what we might call high-value sectors. But we know that job losses in high-value sectors can also have knock-on effects on low-pay sectors. And we've seen in Ireland a really chronic condition of low-pay workers over so many years, and many of those working in those sectors will also fear the knock-on effect. So, Taoiseach, what I'm asking is that you and your government will call for much stronger rights for workers, much stronger rights to ensure, for example, that we see collective bargaining as a right, that we see collective bargaining in the workplace, because we know many of these tech companies are stridently anti-union, that workers are not organised within the workplaces in these high-value sectors. And yet, the lack of representation, the lack of collective solidarity may well have an impact now on the sort of redundancy packages that we're going to see offered. And Taoiseach, we also need to see leadership from government on improvements to collective redundancy legislation in the event of liquidation. Clearly not the issue here today for tech employees, but a scenario which we know also devastatingly arose for Debenhams workers 2.5 years ago. And we still haven't seen the promise delivered on to improve on collective redundancy rights in the event of liquidation. So I'm asking Taoiseach, can you guarantee strengthened collective bargaining and workers' rights in the face of these layoffs and projected layoffs?
Well, first of all, the technology sector is going through a difficult phase globally, and there are some manifestations of that here. And as you have said, Meta have made a global pronouncement which will have implications for Ireland, but I think we have to facilitate and provide for proper consultation between the company and its employees, because I think the employees, those that may be affected, should be at least afforded, and they will be, is our understanding in this case, proper due consultation. Meta employs about 3,000 people directly in the country, about 6,000 contractors. So it has dramatically increased its workforce in Ireland over the last number of years. Generally across the technology sector, that has been the case in many, many companies, which is good news over a 10-year period to witness that dramatic increase in jobs. But for any worker who gets very sad news at this time of the year that one could be losing their job, it's very, very sad and difficult news. So the role of government then and the agencies of government is both to work with the company but also with employees, and to make sure that every support is available to employees in terms of supports, also in terms of potential alternative employment opportunities. Because we are in the last 6 to 9 months, we were experiencing almost a full employment market. So hopefully there will be opportunities within the tech sector and broader sectors, perhaps that there would be opportunities for anybody who would lose their jobs in terms of the announcements that a number of companies are making. But I do think we have to keep the balance right as well, in that sectors go through change. Many tech companies, as I said, have undergone very rapid periods of expansion, and some of that clearly is being pulled back globally. The world economy is changing, as we know. Headwinds are there across the globe, and that's impacting on the technology sector. We've been here before, but I don't, at the moment, the consultation and the work that the IDA is doing suggests that this is something that we're going to have to deal with. But I do think we need to keep perspective and balance in terms of the analysis of this and the description of what's actually happening. We do have to see it against a backdrop of very rapid expansion over the last number of years. We have to make sure that we do everything we possibly can to help the workers in this situation. And we have a good system for doing that, and we've managed that in the past. And then we should also seek out new opportunities that will arise in the reorganisation of this sector, and new opportunities will always arrive. And I think it's important that we keep our eye open for that as well. In terms of the and I'm talking about the Enterprise Ireland, IDA, Solace, Department of Social Protection, all stand ready to help workers who could get bad news in the next number of days. And that's a very difficult situation for them. More broadly, FDI in Ireland is still very strong, and the pipeline is still very strong.
Well, thank you, Taoiseach, and it is indeed sad and difficult news. I know of friends, neighbours, constituents in my own area, in my own constituency, where two partners may both be working, in many cases are both working for tech companies. They've got massive mortgages, they've got enormous childcare fees. They've locked into these commitments, and they're facing such an uncertain future where they're seeing these prospective job losses. And I absolutely accept there's been enormous expansion in the sector, and supported by state investment. Let's not forget, indeed, the state, I think, invested through the Strategic Investment Fund 42 million in Stripe. So there must be a quid pro quo. There has to be a sense that companies are now going to treat workers with dignity and with respect. And Taoiseach, I'm asking, can you confirm the Minister McGrath's statement yesterday that penalties and sanctions will be applied where companies are found to be in breach of existing laws requiring, for example, the 30-day notice and consultation period where collective redundancies are being discussed and presented, and where there is required to be notification to the Taoiseach's Department in advance. I think we've seen indications that these legal obligations will be complied with. But can you confirm that sanctions will follow where there is a lack of compliance? And can you confirm that you'll be looking to strengthen the rights of workers to ensure that they will be treated with dignity and respect in similar situations in future?
Yeah, first of all workers must be treated with respect and dignity and in line with our law and employment law. I made it very clear in the context of the Twitter announcement that I was not happy with the manner of that at all. And I think respect and dignity is very, very important in communication terms. There's established frameworks for communication, and there are obligations on employers in terms of proposing collective redundancies, for example, which involves fines if they fail to consult with employee representatives or fail to provide certain information to employees, when proposing a collective redundancy. There's fines covering that, and the law will be enacted. However, in the context of Meta, our understanding is there will be full consultation, proper consultation with employees, and the same applies to Stripe. And the Twitter one was a much different context. And as I said earlier, we have a strong diversity in our foreign direct investment mix in Ireland, from the life sciences to financial services to technology. And last year was a record year. This year is still a record year in terms of inward investment. But our focus will be on the workers who could be getting bad news in the coming days. We'll do everything we possibly can to help them.